Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to Daryeel Kitchen, home to delicious food made simple. In today's recipe I'm going to show you how to make this delicious bread buns, burger buns or soft rolls. However way you know them, they're very delicious, very easy to make, and you can see how soft they are. The top is nice and golden color and it's got this little shine because of the egg wash we did, and the inside is so soft. Very easy and very delicious. You can serve these with anything you like. I like to serve them with a burger, homemade burger. If you like the recipe, I will attach the link in the description box below. But also you can serve them with any type. So you can have it with Nutella, have it savory, have it with suqar, have it with soup. The choice is endless. And I just wanted to show you guys how soft the inside is. Now, let's get into making our bread. So the first thing that you need to do whenever making bread is activate the yeast. I've got some dry instant yeast and I've just put it in the bowl. And you're going to add some sugar. Sugar is like the food for yeast. And then we're going to add a little bit of the milk, and then I've got warm milk, so it's really important to have good temperature, otherwise the yeast will not be activated. So once you've done that, you just want to mix everything, set aside for 5 minutes, and then I'll show you guys how the yeast turns after a few minutes. This may take about 5 minutes or up to 7 minutes at times. You can see the yeast is ready and it's got this foam. Now let's start with our flour. So the first thing I'm using is plain flour, or you can use strong flour. You're going to add the remaining sugar. So I've added a teaspoon in the yeast, but also another teaspoon into the flour, and then add some salt just to make sure it's got good flavor. And then we're going to add 1 large egg, and just make sure the egg is in room temperature, very important. And then after that, I didn't show you this earlier, we're going to add some butter just to allow the dough to become nice and soft, and just make sure the butter is also room temperature and slightly softened. If you've just taken from the fridge, just put it in the microwave for a few seconds. And then after that, just tip all the yeast in the middle. And finally, all we need to do is add the warm milk in stages, and then just keep mixing. I like to start using using a spoon, and then once everything comes together, I'll show you how the dough is. And also you can just use normal warm water. I just like to add milk and butter and egg into this bread recipe because it creates a very soft dough, and also it becomes very enriched. So but by all means you can swap the milk for water. And then now that you can see we've added all the liquid, all we need to do is now transfer this onto the kitchen counter and just try and dust with some flour. And then now comes the hard work. So you want to mix this dough really well for a few minutes, at least 5 minutes, and then knead really well. The important thing about making bread is the kneading. So you want to knead the dough really well, and also it's really nice. And get your hands dirty and give this to little ones. They really enjoy. Just make sure you don't give the whole dough. I like to always give my little ones little piece, and then that keeps them busy while I am busy in the kitchen. So you can see the dough is coming together. This method is really important, guys, and I would encourage you all to have a go. What I'm doing is touching the dough and then folding it over. And by doing this, your dough becomes really nice and soft. And also, the most important thing is that you will not be adding a lot of flour. Sometimes we are, constantly adding flour just to make the dough come together. And that's not really good, because you want the dough to be really nice and soft in order to create a soft result. So you can see the dough has come together now. And I'm just going to bring everything together, and I'll show you in the next step what we're going to do. The dough is now all ready, and you can see it's so nice and smooth, and all you want to do is apply some oil in your hands, and then just apply onto the bowl, and then just apply onto the dough as well. This just prevents the dough from developing a crust on top. And then all we need to do is cover this and then let this sit aside for an hour, and then I'll show you guys how it looks after this. Our dough has doubled in size and I couldn't resist doing that. So now all we need to do is transfer this onto the kitchen counter. And guys, look at those air bubbles that are already on top. I mean, that is so beautiful. And you know, once your dough is like that, it's gonna give you a soft bread bun. So make sure when you knead, you spend a little time. And then now all we need to do is divide the dough and then shape it. And before you know, you've got bread ready. Once we divide our dough into sections, all we need to do now is just measure, and I like to get them around 80 grams just so I have around the same size. But if you don't have a scale, you can totally eyeball this. Just make sure they all look around the same size. This also is really important when baking them, because you want them all to cook through around the same time. And then after that, you just want to shape them into little balls, and then I like to just flatten them out slightly just to get the bread to become slightly flat, and you'll be able to put fillings in. And then I'll show you guys the next step. Next, all we have to do is shape the rest of our dough, and then this one is going to be slightly different shapes. You can shape the dough however way you like, but I'm going to show you another method. And then look at those air pockets. I mean, once you knead the dough really well, it should be nice and soft. And if it's nice and soft at the end, it will give you a nice bread that is soft. So just spend that extra time when kneading the dough. And then just divide the dough into different sections, and then we're going to shape them into little balls. So now all we have to do is shape these, and I've got one single ball, stretch it out, and then all you want to do now is just roll, starting from the end, and then just roll into until like almost a log, and then after that you're done. That's how easy it is. And that roll will become like a nice long, almost like a sausage rolls like. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So some of them you can roll them into like slightly rectangle, slightly long, and then you would do the same thing, and then they will all turn out the same. But just experiment with this and see how it turns out, because it's just nice to play around with the dough and do different shapes. And of course, home baking, you know what, there's no wrong and right. However way you do, it's at the end of the day, you are good baker, authentic baker, because at the end of the day, we are using our hands. And that's one great thing when working with dough. So I'm just gonna finish this one, and then just keep the ends together and just seal. So it's almost like when you're making cinnamon rolls, and then that's it, just like that. Simple and beautiful. And I'll show you guys once these are baked how they're going to turn. So another way of making those soft rolls is simply just rolling it, and then slightly, once they're stretched a little bit, you're done. And that's how easy it is. So these will be not as long as the previous one, but slightly smaller. but at the same time you can put a good filling in there, so it's almost like soft rolls but slightly shorter. And then do the rest, and then I'll show you the next step. Once we've done everything, now all we have to do is create a little special touch on the soft roll. So just get a knife and then just slightly cut on the top. That creates a beautiful shape once they come out of the oven. And then we're going to cover these and then set aside for another 30 to 40 minutes for them to proof. And then I'll show you guys how they look. You can see they're almost double in size, so beautiful. Make sure at this stage your oven is already nice and hot and ready. But before we place them in the oven, we're going to do a little egg wash, because we want them to turn out nice golden color. I'm going to crack one egg into a bowl, and then we're going to add a little bit of milk. And the reason we use egg is just because I want them to get nice golden color. And then just use the egg yolk, because you know, that gives you that beautiful yellow yellow shine, and that's what we need. And then I'm gonna add dash of milk, mix it, and then all we need to do is apply this on top of our rolls, and then we're almost ready. So if you don't have the egg, you can definitely use milk. That works the same. However, if you have egg, I would recommend you use egg, because it gives you that beautiful golden color. And then next, we're just going to apply this. Just apply very gently, because the buns have now slightly proofed, so you don't want to press them down because they will become deflated. So just handle them with care. Be gentle with them, because if you're not, they will not turn out nice. And then just carry on doing that, and then I'll show you guys once they are in the oven, they're baked, and then once they come out, how they've turned out. Because these delicious soft rolls buns are so delicious, and you can see it was very easy to make, and the only job that takes long is really waiting time, which is the proofing time. But you're not really doing anything. You can do other things. You can be doing you know, answering your emails, doing your work, cleaning your house, and then you come back, shape them, and then once you've done the shaping, you just set them aside again, carry on with cleaning, cooking, and then you're, after like half an hour, you just place them in the oven. Half an hour later, they are ready. I mean, that's how simple it is to make these. But when you hear bread making, everyone thinks it's too much work, but it's not. Now that our buns are out of the oven, you can see it's so beautiful, golden color. I've dusted some with a sesame seed. If you have that, you can use that, and just to give that identical burger bread sign. These burger buns have baked in the oven for about 15 to 18 minutes at 200 degrees. Just make sure you bake them in the middle rack, and also to check if they're ready, make sure they have nice golden color, and then tap the top, and then if you hear nice hollow sound, that means your bread is ready. And so they don't take a lot of time, and you can see they look so good. If you have enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to press the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. I post every single week, and until we meet next time, assalamu alaikum.